This is The Blockchain Show. The Blockchain Show is a podcast that demystifies cryptocurrencies and distributed ledger technology.
Okay, today we are joined by Brian Gallagher, the CEO of Insights Network. Right on. Where are you based out of, my man?
We are in the Cayman Islands. Came down here back in November and stayed. And it's been great. Our development team is down here. Some of us are in Europe, particularly Denmark. But that's the two units are primarily in Cayman and Denmark.
Well, that's awesome. We're also joined by the venerable Ian Collins. Hello, Ian. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello. Not a problem. And I want to jump straight in and ask Brian a very important question. What happened in the meeting when you decided we're going to put the office in the Cayman Islands? Tell me how that went.
What happened in the meeting? I've actually been coming down here my entire life. And so when we were choosing where to incorporate the company, it was a pretty easy choice for me. I'm really familiar with the island. I have a house down here. And we'd been in San Francisco for the last 5 years. And it's become a bit of a overpriced a place to be in San Francisco. And so my co-founders and I just said, why don't we change things up, go down to the Caymans, and we stayed here.
What a fabulous idea. And I'm sure most of our listeners are jealous of you, but I'm sure it's not all sand, sea and sailing. I'm sure that you've got an office with lots of air conditioning and a nice view.
Yes, I would say so. It's a good place to do a startup. There's not too many distractions. I mean, it's beautiful and there's beaches, but there's not much going on, to be honest. So it's easy to just stay focused on the project. And then every now and then you can take a 3-hour direct flight to New York City and, have somewhat of a more traditional American experience.
Right on.
That's fantastic. So we've now got a beautiful impression of where you are. So give us the elevator pitch. Tell us about what you're doing there in the Cayman Islands and with your developers in Denmark.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool backstory, actually. So Darwin, Brandon, and myself met in Y Combinator in 2015. We were both running our startups at the time. Brandon and my startup is called undergroundseller.com. It's an online wine marketplace that gamifies wine purchasing and allows you to store your collection in a virtual cellar that we call the Cloud Cellar. So we were able to aggregate bottles of wine from all over the world into one warehouse, sort of functioning as a two-sided marketplace. The consumer would buy their wine. It would find its way from all over the world into our warehouse where it was their virtual cellar. And they could drag and drop their bottles into their shipping bucket on our website. And, once you collect 12, you ship for free. So that was our first successful experience into internet startups, particularly on the consumer-facing side. And so that company is still going. Our other two co-founders are still operating it out of San Francisco. Brandon and myself moved into a consumer data app that we created called Gambeal, and that's how we got here today. So what we were doing is we created a very simple iOS application where customers could upload their receipts and take instant quick surveys and get fiat currency rewards. We'd give about a quarter per receipt and survey. And it was particularly targeted at the restaurant industry. And this was, we started this about a year and a few months ago. And it really started to take off. We were getting tens of thousands of transactions a day. It was going very well. We were collecting massive amounts of data. And so that's how we started to rapidly learn about the data industry. When we started the app, we thought the business model was going to be something along the lines of McDonald's posts a request for surveys, and we give McDonald's all the survey feedback and data. But as we were collecting the data, we began to be approached by data brokers. And data brokers are a much easier client because you essentially take all the data you've collected, you unload it onto the data broker for one transaction, and everyone goes their separate ways. So we began to engage with these data brokers and started to find out all of the sort of hidden secrets of the industry. and sort of what we viewed as the overreach and abusive practices that we were seeing. And being that we are early blockchain token purchasers and are part of some of the other communities of some very successful projects like the Stratus project, we are involved in Ethereum from a pretty early time in their project. We sort of understood the power of decentralization and saw this opportunity to bring this new technology into the data brokerage industry. And so a business that we were very much a part of, we're now setting out to disrupt. So kind of a long story, but that's the gist of it. And so that's how we got here.
It's very relevant to the whole Facebook Cambridge Analytica thing going on in the news.
It totally is. Yeah, totally.
Would you mind talking a little bit about that? Because I know there's a lot of people that don't really know what's going on. Could you maybe just unpack that just a little bit, and so that we can talk about how you can offer a solution to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is super relevant. It's interesting, and we sort of find it funny that the story hit now because that sort of case study, I guess we can call it, was actually an appendix to our original white paper for the Insights Network back in October. But we took it out because it was very much a political thing, and the country, almost, I guess you could even say the world, was pretty divided and emotional at that time over everything that's going on. So we just said, let's just keep the white paper based on the technology, and we'll keep the political stuff, and maybe we'll use it as like a Medium post later. So when the story broke, we posted it to Medium the same day. So you can read our take on it on our Insights Network Medium if you would like. But let's talk about specifically how that's a important story that shines some light on what's happening with how data is exchanged amongst private corporations and purchasing groups privately. And then we'll talk about, I guess, how the technology we're building can be a solution. So what it really comes down to is when you're using these services like Facebook and you're generating massive amounts of data and constantly inputting new data points into their system, they're able to essentially do what they want with this data. They can repackage it however they would like, and then they have thousands and thousands of clients that they can sell it to. And so what it really, the core principle that's missing here is there's no consent on a case-by-case basis of when your data is being processed. So as the user, you are aware that you've, I suppose, consented that Facebook is going to have all of your data, but you don't know how they're processing the data. And they're doing it over and over, thousands and thousands of times with thousands of different clients, and you don't really know who that's being passed along to. And so with the Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal, essentially what they did is they allowed a private research group with extremely powerful connections to high-level political campaigns to sort of come into the database and siphon all of the data out, and then create their own sort of analytics and trends that they've noticed with these data sets that then they take and do what it is they want with them without even the person they're necessarily buying the data from, which is Facebook in this case, having really any idea what they were doing. So what happens in the end is the user has absolutely no clue any of this is happening, and then they're being served content that may influence their feelings and thoughts on a certain topic or issue because the content they're being served is very much targeted at them by an unbeknownst group that is operating, and it's driving results. And so moving into the future, the GDPR is a new regulation in the European Union that goes into effect May 25th. And basically what it says now is if you are a company and you can't prove consent each time you're processing a consumer's data, you can be fined up to 4% of your turnover with a cap of 10 million euros for the first violation, and then 20 million euros on the second violation each time you do it. So in this case, if Cambridge Analytica was processing a user's data that they ended up targeting with ads towards a political campaign, they would not be able to produce any proof of consent that, let's just say, Brian was allowing them to, process his personal data that was acquired elsewhere. And Brian actually had no idea it was happening, so they're going to be fined 10 million euros for that specific case. And then if they did it again, 20 million euros. So there's a lot of legislation that's coming into effect, and so we're modeling the platform around this legislation to provide a consent-based data marketplace so that users can be aware of each time their data is being accessed or processed and actually receive direct compensation for such.
That's super fair and decent of you.
It's not necessarily a success yet, so there's a lot of work and a lot of awareness that needs to be raised. I think we're heading in the right direction. It's becoming more mainstream. So I think what we'll see is there's going to be a lot of politicians are out there sort of saying we need hearings and we need to get Mark Zuckerberg on TV. That's just a bunch of sort of puppeteering, in my opinion. I don't think anything's going to really come out of that. I think it's just a good PR opportunity for the various politicians to sort of get out there and make it look like they're doing something. But what is going to happen is there's a snowball effect of awareness. And I think there's going to be more and more projects like ours that start to come forward. I think a lot of existing companies that are on board with better data and privacy requirements for their users are going to start to change their policies. So I think we're definitely heading in the right direction.
So how does that manifest itself, first of all, for an organization using your services, and also for an end user to look at their actual data and to analyze that and to give permission, so to speak?
So on the consumer side, I think the challenge is you need to create a product that's so simple and easy to use that it improves, their day rather than makes them do work. So sort of the example I give is a lot of people wear a Fitbit, and the Fitbit tells them how many steps they've taken each day. And so then there's this easy-to-use dashboard where the users can sort of see the data they generated via exercise and then take action to course correct. So with the product, we need to sort of create a digital wallet, which is called the Instar wallet, where the user can sort of naturally see all of the data that is streaming into their application. So privately, we're discussing with a couple of groups already who've created softwares that measure various data from internet browsing usage to all of your sort of exercise applications. They've already created some dashboards where everything comes into one place. So we're sort of looking to partner with groups like that and also creating some of our own technology. So it's about making it really easy to use. And then on the sort of corporate side of, companies that want to come into the marketplace and start paying the customer directly, it's actually a huge win-win because companies do want to engage their user bases directly. So if you can create an environment where it makes it very easy for them to do so, it's actually they're going to have a result of higher quality feedback and data. And the cost actually comes down significantly because traditionally in the data markets, a company like maybe AC Nielsen will hire out a data broker to put together a huge sample group that will come forward and then participate in we'll stick with what we use as the term, which is a request for data. And AC Nielsen basically gets handed a big group of people that they're promised fit the target demographics and requirements. And then they, pay a very high cost to do a big sample amongst this group. So by automating the entire process and making it easy for AC Nielsen to put in a request for data digitally, and then having that be able to target all of the users involved in the network and ping essentially the ones that fit the requirements, AC Nielsen is now able to instantly come in, put a bid via tokens into the network for each person that will participate. It can digitally instantly target all of the users, and then the user can provide full consent to participate and hand over data or take place in a survey. So I think it's a big win-win for everyone. So the big challenge is just continuing to raise awareness, getting users. We've been extremely successful so far. We just launched our product and we've already had 100,000 people sign up. So I think we've definitely seen that the enthusiasm is there. The proof of concept became very clear that people are willing to participate and share their data for small micro rewards with our survey app. And so now it's just a matter of continuing to scale and providing a user experience that's just super easy for the user to take part in.
That's pretty fantastic. And you're quite lucky, really, that this is quite prominent in the news at the moment. What's the future for the platform?
The next steps for us are surveys. So we've already launched the product on Android, and we're just demonstrating the utility of our token, that there are groups willing to place tokens into the system in exchange for people's data. The first few use cases we've targeted at the blockchain cryptocurrency industry. They're a great early adopter user base. And so what we did is we put a few other upcoming blockchain projects into the marketplace, and they're basically auctioning off tokens in exchange for email addresses and Ethereum addresses so that they can bring these cryptocurrency enthusiasts into their communities. So it's a very simple use case that the current market understands. And so now the next step is we're talking with huge survey brokerage groups who have thousands and thousands of clients that place survey requests into their network. And these groups essentially make commission by just getting these survey requesters placed with respondents. And so they're really enthusiastic about our platform because it's much easier to, I guess, we have this existing user base. There's thousands of different surveys that are being requested. And so the next step for us in, the real near term is going to be getting all of these survey requesters into the network. So the next product release will feature surveys, and our users will start to be able to participate in these surveys on a regular basis and give them a lot of activity to participate in. And so we really think that that's going to help us turn the corner into the next stage of scaling, which is just massive user acquisition. When the users see how easy and simple it is to take a survey and earn some tokens, we really believe that it's going to spread rapidly and be something that people are really talking about. So getting through surveys, it's going to be sort of building out this massive data validation network. So our first big partner, NetVerify by Jumio, is functioning as our identity verification partner. So each user that enters the network has to pass a KYC AML check. So we know every single user in the Insights network is a real person. Their demographics are defined. And then their data is stored in a distributed web environment that can't be hacked, and there's no central point of failure. So beyond identifying and validating data, we need to build a massive network to validate all the other personal data points that would come into the marketplace, such as income levels. If a user wants to share an income level, that data needs to be validated. And so all of these different partners participating in validation are actually also earning small token rewards during these transactions for participating. So building just a massive web of data validation and consumers that are sharing and exchanging data with requesters for tokens.
Fantastic. So how do we get involved, and what can we do as a community to assist you with the platform?
Well, you can start by opening an account if you want to participate and start earning some tokens. So the first version of the Instar wallet is now available in Google Play Store. It's been submitted to iOS, and we're waiting Apple's approval. We have a Telegram group, the Insights Network Telegram group that has about 25,000 people who are in there asking questions each day and just participating and giving feedback on what they think will work, which has been super helpful. The best part about blockchain and cryptocurrencies is that there's an incentive for everyone involved. So unlike participating in Facebook as a user, your incentive is really just hoping that they build better features that helps you enjoy the platform. But as a user in the Insights Network, you have this incentive that we're sort of disrupting an industry that's abusive to consumers on a daily basis. So spreading the word, earning more tokens, it's a lot more exciting. So it gives you this sort of network effect that doesn't exist in a traditional startup where it's mostly the VCs and the founders whose incentives are aligned. Your users are actually directly aligned with the same goals in the blockchain space. So we call it crypto tribalism. It's almost like you're building your tribe.
Everybody needs a tribe.
The best way to get involved is, just joining the community on Telegram or keeping up on Medium.
Fabulous. Okay. And are there more releases in the future once you've got the iOS application, or is it basically going out through mobile devices, Android and iOS?
Yes, it is. And then I guess there's two layers to our development. So there's the consumer-facing applications like iOS, Android, and then there's the infrastructure layer. And the infrastructure layer is sort of the blockchain, smart contracts, and then in our case, what we call secure multi-party computation software that works alongside the blockchain. And I don't know how technical we want to get, but that's sort of the big challenge with creating blockchain consumer products, is that you need to transfer lots of data back and forth. And blockchains aren't equipped to do that. When you look at certain blockchains that are privacy coins and protect and encrypt transactions, so you can't necessarily see which wallet. You can't follow a token through wallets such as maybe a Zcash or a Monero. Privacy coins, those are heavy transaction loads occurring on those blockchains. So for something like a data exchange, you can't necessarily just build it on Ethereum and say we're creating this data exchange, because the fees and the transaction throughput just can't. It's not feasible. So you need to create sort of an off-chain solution that allows you to pass and validate massive amounts of data without clogging down the network, jacking up transaction fees and slowing down transactions. So we've created sort of this side chain, if you want to call it that, called secure multi-party computation that's doing all of the data validation off of the blockchain, and then exchanging, the heavy data off the chain, and then it's finalizing the transaction on the chain so that there's a record on the ledger and that the tokens can transfer. So the record on the ledger functions as the proof of consent that each transaction was approved by both users and that the funds were exchanged. So outside of the consumer stuff like iOS and Android, we spend the majority of our time on the infrastructure layer. And to me, that's the most exciting thing going on besides the forward-facing stuff, which is more relevant with the Facebook scandals and big data. But the use case potential for what we're building is very wide and far-reaching. So there's a lot of exciting stuff going on behind the scenes on the infrastructure layer that will probably be more revealed and showcased in about 6 to 9 months.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to seeing your progress, and I'm sure ourselves as well as our subscribers will be watching you. If you do want more information, the website is
insights.network.
So insights.network, you can find out more there, and also download the app to your Android device and soon your Apple device and have a play with it and see what you think. I I think it's very good, and it's a very good use of blockchain to actually support this sort of solution, and it's very innovative as well.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's, like you mentioned earlier, very relevant to what's happening. We're going to be in Europe the majority of the summer. We're heading there in a couple of weeks with the GDPR launching on May 25th. We're going to be out there raising awareness and letting companies know that we're providing a turnkey solution for them to stay compliant and start engaging directly with users and purchasing data and then having that record of consent on the blockchain. So it's a super exciting time for us, for the industry, for the users. So, we're going to be in Europe, a lot of speaking events coming up. So we'll be sure to share those with the community on Medium and our email list if you ever want to come out and join us. And we very much are, looking forward to making a difference.
Fabulous. Okay, well, we look at the website and see where you'll be appearing, and we look forward to meeting you sometime in the future. And hopefully some of our subscribers will be meeting you before we will at some of these events in Europe. I wish you much luck. It sounds very good, and I'm sure one day we'll see you in the main media telling the world about this solution and how it can solve our problems with data.
Yeah, we're excited, and hopefully that's sooner rather than later, and we can just get the ball really rolling here.
Absolutely. Let's hope so. We need something to allow us to know where our data is being used and when it's being used and what it's being used for.
Yep, blockchain's here to solve the problem. It's very early still. The technology is still very much a baby or a child. So in the next 10 years, we're going to see some really incredible things, and just trying to be a part of that and make it happen as quickly as possible.
That sounds like a good plan to me. Excellent. Thank you very much for your time today. It's been very interesting, and it's certainly something which I'll be looking into further, as I'm sure quite a few of us will. Have you got any closing comments?
I just wanted to say thank you. Appreciate what you're working towards, and congratulations on the success so far. We'll be checking you out in the future.
Thanks so much, Ethan, and thank you, Ian. It's been great meeting you guys. We're in closing. I think we've been pretty much behind the computer screens for the last 6-9 months, and so this is actually the first podcast we've done, and we're just starting our media and marketing now. So we're going to be hoping to do a lot more of these and getting the message out there. So thanks for helping us kick that off.
Not a problem. That's what we're here for, and all of our listeners will be no doubt very much intrigued and providing much needed input and downloads for the platform as well.
Awesome. Can't wait. Yeah, we're also on Twitter at @InStarToken. So give us a follow, and we'll be seeing all of you soon.
Fabulous. Thanks very much. And thank you, everybody who's downloaded this. Thank you for listening. And please don't forget to send us your feedback. Any feedback is very, very welcome indeed. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Are you looking for an easy way to buy Bitcoin or Ether on a safe, secure platform? Coinbase is the easiest place to buy and sell digital currencies. Sign up today as a friend of the Blockchain Show, and if you buy or sell $100 of Bitcoin or more, you'll earn $10 of free Bitcoin for yourself and $10 of Bitcoin to support this show. Join now using the link in this episode's show notes at theblockchainshow.com. To learn more, visit theblockchainshow.com.